lead to jobs being created in America. I'm proud of being successful. I'm proud of being in the free enterprise system that creates jobs for other people. I'm not going to run from that.
Now, that was music to the ears of Patrick Byrne of Overstock.com, and he joins us now. Patrick, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you, David. Thank you.
So, bottom line is, a guy who seemed, I mean, I know he'd made some pro-capitalist statements in the past, but he seemed to be kind of backing away, almost apologizing for capitalism in the past, didn't he?
Oh, yes, I would say so. In fact, I think the whole Republican Party and the way they've come down on Mitt has had kind of an ugly tone. The way they've come down upon his business experience hasn't looked like the Republican Party I know of late. So I'm very happy to see him defending himself from principles.
Now he did say something in the last when he won in New Hampshire. He came out with an acceptance speech that was quite laudatory of the capitalist system, I thought, and did form the groundwork for what he did last night. But last night he really nailed it as far as being pro-capitalist.
Well, I think the discourse, the modern political discourse, has gotten really myopic about what it is that built the country, what it is that has lifted standards of living over the last 200 years. You know, I'm actually a pro-freedom guy. Right. And one of the things free people do when they're free is they commit capitalist acts together. So if you're for freedom, you have to be if you're for freedom, you're for capitalism.
And making money isn't bad. Investment capital isn't bad either. I mean, companies, our system really could not exist were it not for investment capital, likes of which we see in Bain Capital, right?
Making money means that you're doing something that other people find of value, and they're giving you their money in return for that service or thing you're providing. You know, Steve Jobs made a lot of money because Apple produced something that everybody loved and valued. So it's the creating things of value and is part of the progress of mankind. So it's something to be, I think that it certainly should not be anything Mitt should be running from. And of course, I think it's something he couldn't run from at this point.
And the problem with this society, and the critics of capitalism, whether they're critics from Republicans or Democrats, is it depends which ox is gored. I mean, some people think it's terrible that oil companies make profits, but it's wonderful that Apple makes profits. And Apple, in fact, makes a lot bigger profits than some of the oil companies do.
Well, yes, there are things known as market failures where some companies' products create externalities. Won't go into it, but yes, I think that it's certainly whose ox is being gored, what's fashionable. Also, I think intuitively there are people who are just against freedom. It offends them that people get to make choices for themselves. They don't, and they really just intuitively, in their DNA, you listen to them and it's just in their DNA, they want to run everything, and they want to elect people who will then be able to run everything, and they're control freaks.
Now, in Newt's defense, now I'm not going to defend those bashing on Bain Capital, because I think they were undefensible. In fact, a lot of the information in that movie that came out was just dead wrong, so it was a badly done film. However, what he's trying to do clearly is put people's disdain for the financial bailouts, where taxpayers, middle-class taxpayers, had to bail out billionaire bets. He's tried to link that in people's mind. He's saying that that's what he is against. I think that is a fair criticism of crony capitalism. I wouldn't call that capitalism, but a fair criticism of what's happened, right?
Oh, absolutely. You got to separate capitalism from the financial industry. The financial industry isn't about capitalism. It's crony capitalism, which is to say socialism, collectivism, and I think it's shameless of Newt Gingrich to do that. In many cases, Newt Gingrich has been a man of principle, well, at least a man of ideas, and I think it's shameless for him to have come out making those attacks.
And now, again, you say investment capital is bad. There are certain people that I know that you particularly have disdain for, in particular the short sellers who set their sights at one point on Overstock. Would you be against that branch of, because it is a branch of capitalism?
No, let me be very clear. I have nothing against short selling. Short selling is a legitimate activity. I'm against market manipulation. Within Wall Street, I think Wall Street has... The nexus of Wall Street and Washington, D.C. has become an oligarchy. There's a bunch of criminal manipulators, insider traders, and other people on Wall Street, and they're doing ugly things. And whenever I point to the ugly things they're doing, people say, oh, you just don't like, you know, Wall Street or something. Garbage. These are crimes. but you have to distinguish between the financial criminals and the financial industry from capitalism. The financial industry has really got a stranglehold on Washington, and that's how they forced this last bailout, which is awful. There's going to be another chance coming down the road, by the way. It's all going to happen again, and I hope we've learned our lesson and don't bail these criminals out.
Me too. No more bailouts. Thank you very much. So what would happen? That's Patrick Byrne from Overstock. Have a good weekend, Patrick. What would happen to those